We are live. Hello, America.
Or just Whitworth. Welcome to InDifference. And as you can tell, we are very excited about this new Star Wars movie coming out. This is actually some Star Wars music that we played for our intro music today. So, you know.
We felt like today needed a Star Wars theme to get things amped up for the coming Christmas season. We have an exciting show, guys, today. It's going to be epic. It's going to be galactic. It's going to be unreal and out of this planet. Today we are talking about drumroll.
Stereotypes in media.
Yes.
Yep.
Come on. So we thought it'd be fitting to play a tune that everyone is familiar with, which is the Star Wars tune, because it's part of media, and we're talking about that today.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some great conversation topics. We got some statistics brought to you by one of my classes, and also some articles we found online.
And also, like, just personal experiences, since, you know, you hear about stereotypes just like throughout media, since we're constantly exposed to that, like, every single day through, like, advertisements and even, like, throughout conversations, you know, they kind of, like, permeate through, like, all levels of our lives. So, yeah, we have a pretty good show for you guys today, so.
Yeah, and
dope.
we're going to start off today. Oh, also, this is InDifference, the podcast. You are joining us. We're going to disrupt your hour. And if you want to call in at any time, we figured out the phone thing, guys. Last week, we did not have any idea what was happening with the phone. And so we had to, like, scramble to figure it out. But we got it figured out. Mm-hmm. Our lovely friend, Megan, who is right before our show, she helped us out. So shout out to Megan.
Shout out.
She helped us figure out how to do this caller thing. So once you call us, we can actually talk to you. So we're going to leave some time and space to call in throughout the show. But I think we're going to start off with the song. Just kidding. No, we're not. We're going to take some time to talk about some things. We have a lot of things to talk about, I think.
Yeah, where should we get started at?
There's a lot of things we can talk about.
I guess we could just define, I guess, what stereotypes are. I mean, that's a good, I guess, start off point.
Yes, let's do that. Stereotyping. So Ike.
Yeah.
Stereotyping in 3 words. Just
Basic.
kidding.
Oh, okay. I'll go with that.
Well, actually, tell us what you think.
Anyway, well, like, stereotyping is a belief that's, you know, held by a lot of people about a certain thing or group. Yeah. Sometimes it is true, and sometimes it's wrong. But when the times that it is true, like, it can be used to kind of shed people in a negative light. That's how I would, you know, kind of say it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that stereotyping is like one of those things that everyone has done in their life, whether they think they have it or not. I think in some way, shape, or form, they can be social, they can be economic, and they're primarily racial stereotypes that we see in the media. We see that all over the place. I mean, there was something on The Simpsons that just got called out for
real?
Yeah, The Simpsons character guy who runs the mini mart thing.
Yeah,
his name's Apu, and he just got people are getting pissed because this, like, stereotype is, like, so degrading, and so people are calling the Simpsons creators out for being kind of racist. But
okay.
Yeah, a stereotype, I think. Okay, we have it pulled up. The definition is that it's a fixed, overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people,
mm-hmm.
or group of people in general, I would say.
So for example, a stereotype, just to like simplify this, is that all Asians are smart, kind of that, or all black people are athletic,
or all Mexicans smell like burritos.
I mean, or they all just,
or they all mow. Okay,
mow
the one
lawn,
I've gotten called
yeah.
out for by classmates in high school, where people would be like, "Yo, Dylan, mow my lawn." And
Yep.
I lived in a very Caucasian neighborhood, so I remember very specifically one time I brought my yearbook home and somebody wrote in my yearbook, "Have a great summer, mow my lawn." Like they weren't even being creative. And
whatever.
I brought that home. I brought it home, and my mom flipped the table. She flipped the table. I think because for a number of reasons. I was showing her, and I didn't think it was bad at the time, but I was also really naive, and then found out that's not a good thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
So we live and we learn.
Yep.
But some of the most common stereotypes are racial stereotypes. I think a lot of it comes about because it's just ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
People don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So they say things and they kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. I would also say a lot of this stuff just comes out of history, For example, just just history and the kind of interactions between groups of people. I guess the best example would be America, since this is the country that I've grown up in. I've known the most about a lot of remnants from slavery and the Native Americans that have driven these groups of people to kind of become categorized or have these labels. And
I think the first time, besides that time in my yearbook, that I had heard someone claim. So when I think of racial stereotyping, I think of it there's a claim over a group of people, and that claim isn't necessarily true, but it's still spoken. And I remember there was this person who I was working at a summer camp with, and he's from Georgia, and he's this white kind of fraternity kid from Georgia. And one day, just I also think it's locational too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's so locational. This kid just thought it was fine to say yeah, dude, all black people are lazy. He just said that, And I was thinking to myself, that's so weird that you would just say that for a number of reasons, but for him it was just normal to say that. And I was how can you claim something true over entire? It was just weird.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I realized that location is also so important, because that would never have been said in the Northwest, but locationally.
I guess culturally. Never shouldn't be a thing. I think it's less likely to be said.
Yes,
here.
Yeah. Less likely to be said than it would be more of a cultural thing in the South, sadly.
Yeah.
I have this funny. Okay, so I'm in this class right now called Theories of Human Communication. Shout out Ron Pyle. Hey. Okay. And he talks about different statistics that are what real life is versus how it's portrayed in primetime TV. He'll talk about there's a difference between the way that television has shaped our view of people and shaped our views and thoughts towards a specific group of people. And this kind of creates this mainstreaming, and he gives these statistics. So he'll say so women in real life is about 50% of the population, but based on what TV says to us, it's about 35% of characters actually.
Yeah. Or
he'll talk about the percent of crimes that are violent in real life is about 10%, but in TV it's 77%. So most crimes are violent.
That stuff sells though. People be entertained, and
yeah,
it's weird.
It's weird. But then what happens is this is the kind of downfall of TV, is like when people watch too much of it, then they start to believe that that's true.
Yeah.
A statistic that says if like most felons on TV, let's say, are, you know, either like if they're coming from like TV shows that predominantly show these criminals as being black, then people start to develop these theories about in their own mind, which is so messed up.
Yeah.
In real life, the percent of population that's involved in violent crime yearly is 1%. So, but in TV, it's like 64% of characters have a violent crime happen to them. So, good luck if you're a TV character.
If you're talking about just stuff that we've seen in like media and stuff, for example, if you see in the news another black kid gets shot, right? Let's say if you watch Fox News. I don't know why you'd watch Fox News, but whatever. I digress. Fox News or like some other media outlets might portray this kid who got killed as some thug or like gangster. They'll actually have people who will look through like Facebook or whatever and kind of post like these pictures of them posing with their friends or like holding some gun or whatever, you know, and to portray that like negative light, almost to kind of justify like if this kid was like running around in like gangs and stuff, you know, he probably like deserved it, you know. So like those are the implicit messages that I kind of get whenever something like that happens, you know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's gonna be kind of edgy.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Whitworth?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Like growing up in a culture that's like says that, what does that do to you? Like psychologically, what does that do to you? Like socially?
Well, you hear that
like growing up, especially like
yeah.
as a kid, and then.
Well, growing up, my parents from I don't know when I can remember, they were always like, you know what, because of who you are, the color of your skin, you're gonna have teachers, you're gonna have people treat you differently. And me being the naive kid I was like, what? That makes no sense. There's nothing that's different between me and like some of like my white or like, you know, Asian or Islander friends from school, you know, like they know life happens and you kind of grow up and then you see that, oh wow, I thought my parents were just being dumb, but in reality they're actually right. Like this is like the world that we live in today. And so it's weird because it kind of makes you more like I guess less prone to like act out in class, you know, because you know you might just be seen as some of those other black kids in school who kind of always get in trouble, you know, and like you kind of have to prove that you're different. You're kind of like walking like on eggshells in a sense. Yeah, you kind of be like, all right, I guess I gotta prove myself that I'm not like one of these people who you think I am. And it's weird, it's kind of stupid, but you kind of have to prove your existence and why you're like worth it. You know, I kind of remember feeling that way as a kid. Yeah,
I have a tough time, I guess, watching a news source when they do stuff like when they perpetuate an image of a type of person in the way that it's covered, you know, because I think sometimes the media might have an agenda when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like they build an agenda in our minds that say like, this is what's important to talk about. They don't say what, but they just say that it's important to talk about. So then what happens is like people will start to formulate their own opinions about like a specific group of people based on like what the news covers. And if the news covers, you know, like only these criminal activities, but they don't cover anything else, like
the good stuff,
the like achievements,
like the communities that are being changed.
Yeah, then they don't capture the whole thing. Yeah. And then you ask yourself the question, who are the gatekeepers of the media? Like who are the people that hold the power to show what's covered and what's not covered? Yep. And sadly, it's white people.
I mean, yeah, like if we're being honest, yeah.
I love white people sometimes, but the people that run the media, I do not like so much. Yeah, not all of them. Just
they just got their own agendas and ignorance, and it's kind of a way to control the population, or you know, like there's always like some, I guess, what am I trying to say? There's like some kind of like hidden agenda there, like whether it be like political or keep things, I guess, the status quo is what I'm trying to say, because people don't like seeing things changed. Because the more things change, the less power you may or may not have, you know? So it's all kind of a power dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a very tough time with some things, like especially in Spokane. I worked in West Central this summer, and seeing like news stories of what is being covered in West Central versus like what's actually happening in West Central, it makes you not want to read anything on the news, because most of what's covered right now on the news regarding West Central as a neighborhood is that it's a low income, like dirty, like it's a place that has like all the thieves and all the criminals.
Wait,
and there's
Jill,
always.
I have a question. Are the people who live there majority like one ethnicity?
They are. Yes,
yeah,
they are.
So don't you see that's funny how all these negative connotations are being used when, I guess darker skinned people move in, or people who are not white move into places, So that's just kind of interesting. Like whoever's listening out here should be on the lookout for like things in media when you're describing like neighborhoods and stuff.
Yeah, it's very subtle.
That's sneak dissing right there, Anyway, sorry. Keep
going.
No,
I was just you basically nailed the nail on the head, because that's exactly what my experience was like this summer, and there's like way too much coverage on things that don't sum up the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like they don't capture how like different programs are happening in West Central, and how community members of West Central are like actively working to make sure that it is a better place and a safer place, because there's kids there, like people, and also the perpetual cycle of poverty, and the way that the city is planning on like working with that, or dealing with, quote unquote, dealing with the problem is really, so it doesn't help when like the media starts to put these like stereotypes on this neighborhood.
They may be taking like 4 steps forward, but like all these little things could be like making them take like 8 steps back,
But what are you talking about? My First Basket is like such a good improvement. If you shop at My First Basket,
is this like some like, I think we have a word for this. Is it gentrification?
Yeah, I think there's a song about that, isn't there?
I think so. I may not have a song about that at that moment, but I mean,
I'll pull it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you guys want to. Also, this guy is probably coming to campus. I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, for real?
But Propaganda might be coming to campus.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm not kidding.
Okay, shoot. Okay, all right. I expect we're going to have to change up the music selection real quick.
But if you want Propaganda to come to campus and talk about truth, we're going to need you to write a letter to your senator. I'm just kidding.
No, but for like, we really should get Prop here, because I've actually met him like once, I think twice. Yeah, I've met him twice, and he's a really cool guy. Like, he spits a lot of truth. He kind of gets like the system, like, and his songs are just really good. He's like one of the best spoken word people / rappers.
And it's clean.
No, yeah, it's clean too for all y'all who like clean stuff.
Yeah, so we can play it on the radio station.
Right? No, we got rules here. Yes.
Yes, we just want to definitely reiterate the fact that we want to be a family-friendly show, but we want to talk about real things too. So we also are on a college campus. So if you have kids and you're listening, I guess that's on you, because it's a college radio show.
Yeah.
But we're gonna start to transition now. We got some good jams for you guys to listen to. We are Ike and Dill, and we are here to disrupt your hour.
And we're back.
We are live in the Pinecone studio. We're back. We're talking about stereotypes in the media, and specifically how coverage of certain things kind of portrays a stereotype over people. And so we were doing some research over specific topics, and we found some interesting things. So do you want to go first, Ike?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll go first. So I was just scouring online, and I saw some articles about a very popular meme that came out. I think it was last year, like a couple years ago. It was about the gorilla Harambe. If y'all know that meme, dope. But what inspired that meme was so there's this 2-year-old kid. It was at the Cincinnati Zoo. He fell into like the gorilla encampment thing. Harambe, the gorilla, walked up to the kid, grabbed the kid. He didn't receive too serious injuries. But the thing is, this kid was black, and his parents, of course, were both black as well. And it was weird because like I even remember like after the story came out, I saw a ton of articles about this. Both the parents were irresponsible. I read online that there was a petition started to have the parents charged with negligence, signed by over 500,000 people. It was reflective of the kid's home situation, which isn't really a rational thought at all, because sometimes accidents do happen. And then I also remember kind of hearing that the father's criminal background should be checked. Yeah, and I don't even know how that even relates to this situation. Right here, the problem was the media, which gave false stereotypes surrounding African American families to make them seem inferior. And then here's another thing to compare it. So I think later that year, a 2-year-old Nebraskan boy was snatched into a lagoon by an alligator while at a Disney resort with his family. After searching, they found the boy was killed below the water. But the thing is, I also heard the story come out, and I didn't hear anything like bad about the parents. In fact, a lot of people like sympathize with the parents, and nobody calls into question the parents' like parenting skills. As you may have guessed, this family was white, and the thing was, in that place, there's a lot of signs that said no swimming, and yet no one calls into question the parents' parenting skills. So there's like that example that the media plays on us all the time.
Jeez, if there's one thing you can learn from this podcast, when somebody has something horrible happen to them, you don't ask for their criminal background.
Yeah.
Just like common sense, America.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how that relates at all.
They're like, shouldn't we check on this grieving family? No, I think we need to check their background.
Yep. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, man.
But that just goes along with this like perpetual cycle of like assumptions being made.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
of course.
Obviously, in their minds, it has everything to do with this guy's background.
Mm-hmm. But
in reality, in a normal situation, it has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
I was just reading the Chicago Reporter. Has this article that you guys should read. It's called "Crime Coverage in Media Perpetuates Racial Stereotypes" by Christopher Benson. And this article is pretty awesome. It's chock full of information and statistics, because these students wanted to basically figure out like how come certain coverage in their towns, like news, is getting covered, which is putting kind of a bad image on like their entire community. Mm-hmm. And then they are saying basically like, how come African Americans are overrepresented in crime stories? Like, clearly the people putting these stories together are so caught up in building a broadcast that they ironically distort the very reality they're trying to present. And the funny thing is, like, they released a report, like for Crime Report. The FBI releases this report annually. And last year, 2016, it was shown that it's like white men are supposedly like twice as likely, not white men, whites in general, are twice as likely as African Americans to be arrested and charged with committing most of the listed crimes, like rape. Okay, let me just talk about rape for a second. The rape statistic for white men is 12,571. That's for whites, not white men. That's for whites in general, as a race. For black or African American, the statistic was only 5,412. So less than half. Okay, let's move on to, let's see. aggravated assault 191,205 are white. 101,432 are black or African American. So clearly there's some like miscommunication,
distortion,
or like burglary. Okay, so burglary, right? That's the one the media always portrays this to be. There's so many racial stereotypes as far as burglary goes but in reality, let's talk about reality for a second. There's 112,651 white crimes that are burglary, compared to 47,991 which are black or African American. So
yeah,
what does that mean? Like, if there's, if the media is doing this, but statistics show this, clearly there's a misrepresentation. Clearly there's something off here. Arson is 5,593 for white, only 1,813 for black or African American. Let's see. Gosh, it goes on and on. Fraud, you guessed it. Whites, you take the win on that one. Almost doubled.
Yeah.
Vandalism. Okay, vandalism. Oh, this one's bad. Vandalism amongst whites is 105,933 people that year, versus black or African Americans was 43,499. So literally less than half.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big number. Gosh, it goes on and on and on. And the numbers are just very different. There are some where like they're about the same, which is like gambling, and let's see. Oh yeah, driving under the influence. White people, you gotta stop drinking your wine.
And the funny thing is, this is like those statistics make sense in a way when you look at like the demographics of this country as a whole. Because this country is majority white, right?
Totally.
But so like from like a statistical point of view, it makes sense that there's going to be more out of that population to commit crimes. So the media like does such a good job of portraying that only certain kinds of groups are responsible for all this stuff. So
yeah, it just kind of makes me angry that there's kind of this difference in what's happening.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, this is estimates from 2016. By the way, it says for race, America is 76.9% white, while black or African American is 13.3% of the population.
Holy goodness. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, that's the majority of the population, but apparently, minoritized groups are the ones committing all of these crimes.
Right. Duh.
Yeah, of course. Because. Yeah.
Yeah. If any of this intrigues you and you're listening, give us a call. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. We're just telling you what's being reported about what's happening in your media. So. If this is something that you think is not true, or at any point you think like is not accurate, please call us. We'd love to hear what you think, and we'd love to have you on the show. Give us a call, and we have a couple more little segments. But while we're doing that, I'm gonna actually list off our topics now. We have set dates, guys. Set dates for our talk show. And that will have different topics, and we have the dates for those. We have scheduled those dates. I'm going to read through these really quick because we have some pretty good topics. Next week, we'll be live again. We'll be talking about subtle ways of discrimination, both on campus and in our nation. We'll have a guest speaker. His name's Sapuso. He's a student here. He's incredible. When I showed him the list, he was like, this is the one I want to come to.
He's great.
So we're going to have him as a guest speaker come and talk about subtle ways that he has felt discrimination in other ways that both Ike and I have felt that. That'll be on December 11th. Please come. Please, don't come. Please come, Sabuso. But everyone else, stay in your homes and listen to us from the comfort of your homes. And then in January, we're only going to have one show where we talk. Really, the rest of the shows will be music. Also, all the dates in between these dates will just be like us kind of hanging out, listening to music, doing call-ins and doing questions. So call us, please. We'd love to hear from you. We had a caller last week. We want a caller this week, so call us. The next topic after that is women of color and their experience at our school, Whitworth University. That's going to be on January 15th. We're going to have some guests come and talk at that. The week after that, hopefully we're going to have David Garcia, an amazing of on campus who is working so hard continuously for just these things kind of be highlighted and exposed, I would say, and also just talked about more. So, and that the dialogue is happening between groups on either side, but also that there's space created for people to talk about the ways that they've felt marginalized or excluded. That'll be on February 12th. Hopefully we'll get David to come to that one.
Yep.
The week there's a break week, and then I think that's later on. The Mixed Race Dilemma is the next show. That'll be on February 26th. We're going to have some guests come and talk about that. Guests of mixed race, of course, talk about their experience living on the line. And the week after that, March 12th, we'll be having our Being a Good Ally conversation. We'll have some people come talk to that, share about their experience being either someone of the majority culture, talking about what it's like to have been an ally, or who are currently allies to people who are minoritized, marginalized, or on the edge here on campus. And then we'll also have a call-in day, March 19th. So get those dates on your calendar. We'll be getting a print of this episode calendar out to you guys in the dorms, so you guys can have that, and then just everywhere around Whitworth. But that's all I got for that. If you're listening right now and you're just eager to hear more about what we're talking about, please call us. Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. Or give us a shout out. We love shout outs. Last week you guys gave us a ton of shout outs about, what you all are doing. So please give us a shout out if you can. If you're listening to us, give us a call, 509-777-3278. It's 509-777-3278. And you will be live on the show. So,
yep, we would love to have you.
Yes.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, if you have any knowledge on this subject and you are dying to chime in, please call us. This is so prevalent in the media. Dude, these statistics are still just shocking me, man. Arrests under the age of 18.
Yeah.
The amount of arrests for rape between whites and blacks or African Americans is 1,877 versus 956. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Dang. Okay.
And also for weapons and people carrying weapons. Guess who wins that one? America. You know.
All right. Well, I think it's time for another music break. So
yes,
I'll just play a few songs and then we'll be right back.
Awesome.
Yep. So this song is "Come Down" by Anderson pack. It's really dope. Hopefully y'all like it. We're gonna play one more song, and it's called "Blessings" by Lecrae.
But before we do, I'd like
Yeah.
to take this moment to talk about our sponsors. We have a few sponsors that we'd like to give a shout out to. The first one is Summertino Ministries. We appreciate you. Shout out to Summertino. We also would like to give a shout out to Chacos for just being so prevalent on this campus.
Yeah, so we'll play the song Blessings by Lecrae, and then we'll be back to kind of wrap things up.
Dope. Also, I'm gonna take this moment to talk about Ike's playlist because it's incredible. You guys should give it a listen.
I mean, if you want, yeah. It's not really finalized. Yeah, I'm still tweaking it.
It'll still be tweaked. There are still there's tweaking that needs to be done.
Yep.
But we'll get that up and running, and you'll get to hear all the songs on the show, mixed with a few more, and future songs will be on that. But also future songs will be on that.
All right, we're playing Blessings. We are back. I'm here to wrap things up with kind of some final words about stereotyping and media. Shout out to Summer Chino again, who kind of texted me about something that we haven't touched upon. I thought was really dope. It was about how stereotyping affects people mentally, which is really cool. And so we kind of have some things to say about that. So basically, stereotyping is like not only hurtful, but obviously it's wrong. So even if the stereotype is correct in some cases, putting someone down just because of your own preconceived notions or perceptions will not encourage them to succeed. So what do we mean by that? So a stereotype is like women are weaker and they can't do things that men can do, and that women should only focus on certain things, and that women aren't fit for man jobs, So for example, I'm going to use my field of growing expertise, science. You don't really see a lot of women in this field because women are kind of there's a stereotype that women can't do the things that men can do. Like women aren't as smart as men, women are weaker than men, and they're being told that they can't do stuff. And so you see all these girls growing up and not kind of being in these fields that are now male dominated, because like a lot of them probably don't think that they can do these things because they're women, or just no one's ever told them stuff. So stereotypes can kind of affect people mentally in that way as well. Also, just another example is just kids like in the inner city, kids like in the hood and stuff. They're kind of told that they'll never, that they're not smart enough, and that because of where they're from, all kids from the hood will just end up like fathers, or they'll end up not doing anything with their lives. So that thought implanted in someone's head holds them back, and it makes them think that it's right, like it's probably true, like I can't get better than this, probably just continue to do the same thing because it doesn't really matter because it won't be going anywhere, and so that thought in their head kind of holds people back doing the things that they were meant to be doing.
Yeah, I see this is true too in the neighborhood in West Central. We work with Youth for Christ. I was doing that as part of my summer job, and you see it, like you see exactly what you just described. You see that with these students who come in, or they'll show up to the barbecue, and they'll you're playing basketball with them, and they'll be talking about I'll be like, dude, you could totally do this, you could they'd always tell me we want to go to the NBA, and I'm like, dude, you guys can do that, that's a possibility if you work hard. And then the immediate response is no, we can't, because no one in our family has been able to do that or even get out of the neighborhood, and seeing that that for them is just would never even be a reality. They cannot conceive a life outside of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Which if you've ever lived in like in a household that was like some of the households these kids have lived in, and not just the household, but the culture of the city, the culture that the city casts onto them, they're stuck there. Like they're stuck in these cycles. And a lot of them, because they look, if they have the news, are looking at these people who are getting like caught up in crime, and these are the people that are being shown on TV. Then what are they going to think about themselves? Like mentally. I also have like another article that talks about stereotyping amongst these like ethnic or racial minority groups. It's kind of complex too, because on one extreme, like it's easy to say that like, I don't know, it's easy to say that like, well, if certain minority groups are doing this, and like they should feel bad. But like I don't agree with that at all. Because there's a lot of studies out there that show like that people who I guess like ultimately like it's just some of the stuff that's portrayed on the media is just totally inconsistent with data,
Yep.
So if only people knew that more. For example, there's some data that shows that whites are more likely to consume drugs than blacks, And these and other like negative stereotypes about racial and ethnic minorities are like stressors that adversely affect their mental health. This is a quote from the Culture of Health blog titled The Effect of Cultural Stereotypes on Mental and Public Health. And they talk about how these negative stereotypes deeply, deeply affect people in a way that they become self-fulfilling like prophecies.
Yeah.
So they see this stuff, and in their minds, they tell themselves, this is what people like me are. This is what people like me are. And so what is their only option? To be like that person,
Yep.
So think about that. Like as whites, we have to think about that. Like what does the culture media tell us that we are? Well, if we look at media, it says we're politicians, we're lawyers, we're doctors, we're doing all these great things, It doesn't tell us too often that we're criminals, we're bad people, we're foreigners, we're outsiders, It doesn't tell us these things. So we therefore believe it, and then we can do it. That's why we go to college, and that's why a majority of us are in college. And that's a privilege, and that's all about what this show's about, is revealing these and exposing these privileges that we don't think about every day,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just need to think about that more often, because it's becoming a point where like it's not truth, that's being portrayed on the media. It's like it's a certain bent perspective on how something happened.
Yep.
So that a perpetual system of racism can be continued.
And it sucks because like people who don't take the initiative and aren't intentional with kind of educating themselves on these things, like the people who are either ignorant or don't like expose themselves to stuff like this, like the more these things aren't called out and the more like facts aren't actually being like presented the way they are, like the more these cycles can continue, because you kind of only know what you know, and I would even say you only know what you kind of choose to know.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of people that are just ignorant because they don't want to know,
especially in our world. Like if you want to like become like a better person, and if you just want to be a well-informed person, like then you should be making the effort to kind of like educate yourself on stuff like this, because as humans, like we're very selfish, and the bubbles that we're kind of born into, and if we haven't been like kind of shaken or shooketh out of those bubbles, it's hard for us to kind of see the rest of the world as what it really is, which is kind of a collection of bubbles. That was a weird metaphor, but whatever.
No, I agree with you. And we need to talk about this stuff because it is so normal in our world. but it needs to be called out for how unnormal it is, you know? That, like, the things that, you know, are experienced in the lives of racial and ethnic minorities are so common. You know, we have a name for it. It's called microaggressions. It's called, you know, stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so normalized that we don't even think about it, you know? And as whites who claim this, and I'm not just making stereotypes about whites. I'm saying that we are predominantly the forces of control over the media. So we need to be better at recognizing these areas of microaggression, these areas of stereotyping, because if we don't, then we'll never do, you know? And also, like, who we need to be called out for this stuff, you know, on behalf of white people. Like, we need to be called out whether or not we consider ourselves racist. And that's the thing that I think for a lot of my white friends and, you know, just people I know, we're not saying that by calling you out, you're racist, but you're benefiting from a system that is. And that's what's so important, is that we need to be responsible for calling out these systems, because they are oppressive, they're racist, they are, you know, misogynistic. These things need to be called out.
Yeah.
Gets me shooketh. Gets me shooketh.
Yep. Yeah. So, I don't know. Looks like we're kind of running low on time.
We are. We're about to end it.
Probably might be over because we kind of started later. Today.
Oh yeah. We are definitely over.
Yeah, I think we're like 5 minutes over. All right, so.
But if you've been listening to us and you agree with us, we appreciate it. If you don't agree with us, we also appreciate you. Mm-hmm. We hope that you can voice your opinion. This is a show where we want to talk and we want to have a conversation about this. And, you know, we want to point out that there's stereotypes for both sides, but there's also, but the point, the point of the show is to say that historically, some of these stereotypes affect people in a very different way.
Yeah, because stereotypes against like white people haven't been used in a way to demean white people, like at least,
or limit them.
Yeah, or limit them, at least like not in the ways that it limits, other minoritized groups.
Yeah. If you have been liking the background music, by the way, this is from a playlist called Funk Outta Here.
Hey, on Spotify.
When your soul needs to get a little funked up, check out these funky soul classics.
Yep. So,
thank you to that sponsor.
Yep. Also, yeah, just thanks for spending your hour and like 10 minutes with us. We really want people just to use this as a time to kind of question the things that they've been told and be open to like stories of students not only here on this campus, but reflect that to like people all over the world as well.
Yeah, most of us are graduating this year, and we're gonna go out into the world, and it's not gonna be, we got to be strong about this stuff because we live in a world that's very adamant about one side of history, especially in our country.
Yep.
So we have to be strong about like talking about this stuff in a way that is actually coming to a conclusion. And if that conclusion is we're still challenged, then that's that conclusion. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means that's the conclusion for that conversation specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of all we have. Thanks for sticking with us. As we do this more, the show and flow will be a lot better, and streamlined, and I know we'll like this will be like second nature to us. So
we're learning.
Yeah, we're still learning this stuff, just how we're all learning, just like having to get through life, So, yeah. Anyway, this is our music right here. So this is InDifference. This is Ike.
This is Dill.
And we are signing off.